Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Tuesday afternoon. The Miami Hurricanes commitment sweatshirt comes back on. Three-star offensive lineman Canon Pickett committing to the Miami Hurricanes. I'll just go out and say it right off the rip. Generational offensive line class that Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal are putting together. And it's not only because I love the names that are in this class, it's because of the variety of different skill sets that Miami is bringing in on the offensive line, and most notably, the size. These are a bunch of ass kickers up front for Miami. It starts with five-star offensive tackle Jackson Cantwell, 6'7", 325, the most powerful offensive lineman that I've seen come out of high school in a very long time. How about Joel Irvin, 6'6", 330. Canon Pickett, 6'4", 320. Reese Woodrow, 6'3", 310. This is an offensive line unit that they have coming in 2026. These players look like they've been in college football programs for the last couple of years. They're going to be freshmen in the 2026 season. It's a massive unit. It's a deep unit. This is the identity that Mario Cristobal is trying to build at Miami, where I think there's this misconception in the national media that, because you had Cam Ward, you had such a good quarterback, and you had elite wide receivers, Miami threw the football a lot in 2024. That's not going to be that's not going to be the norm. The norm is going to be big physical offensive line that runs the football against any team in the country. And that's often, to me, what separates really good teams from elite teams. Like the elite teams in college football, they can run against anybody. Miami's building an offensive line that can do just that in the next couple of years. Really big fan of the offensive line class in general. I got some hot takes about Canon Pickett that we're going to get into as well before we do. And as always, to the Miami Hurricane fans, I can't thank you guys enough. It's been a blast talking this team. Whether we're breaking down official visits, whether we're breaking down commitments, been really fun talking this football team, and the amount of support y'all have shown in the dog days of the offseason, been amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And I don't know if Miami's done yet building this offensive line class in 2026. Without further ado, let's get into it. And let's start with Canon Pickett. One, he's built like a brick house, but the athleticism is there, and that's what stands out to me. Here's my hot take. I think a lot of people in the industry see Canon Pickett as an interior offensive lineman at the next level, and I'm not necessarily going to disagree with that. That's probably the cleanest projection. I turn on the junior year film and say, this kid, although a little bit more of a guard body, he puts a lot of athleticism on the film for that size. I think there's a chance that Canon Pickett can make it work at tackle over the next couple of years. And that's kind of the beauty of this commitment, where you're getting a football player that, one, is extremely polished. One of those players that you look at him and say, he's going to be ready early to play for Miami on the offensive line. But just as importantly, I think you can play this kid all over the offensive line as well. I think there's a real chance that he can make it work at tackle. And if he can, and if he's better suited to play guard, stick him in at guard. He's going to be a multi-year starter for you at some point down the road. You turn on the film, one, really, really good stance, gets out of his stance really well. Very powerful kid, especially at the point of attack. Really good pulling play side as well, climbing to the second level. Then you turn on some of the pass protection stuff, playing left tackle at Tampa Bay Tech, and say, this kid makes it work in pass protection as well. Some of the cleaner pass protection sets that you'll see in this 2026 cycle, which tells me, hey, he's got a chance to make it work at tackle. I want to dive into just a little bit of the film because he is one of my favorite players to watch. And we've been saying it all year for Canon Pickett. This is a guy that I think it's a really clean projection. I think you feel really good about him coming in and being a staple in this Miami Hurricanes offensive line over the next couple of years. Look, I mean, really, really good out of his stance, knows how to play with leverage. The hand placement is always really, really good. And when he gets his hands on you, this is a guy that's going to do what he wants with you. And that's what excites me the most. When it's time to be physical at the point of attack, he is dominating opposing defensive linemen. You continue to work through and say hand placement's always good, leverage is always good, bring in the hips. It's really, really clean from him as a football player on the film. You continue to work through it. We're going to get into, so I mean, again, really good out of his stance, really good hand placement, really good leverage. He's checking all the boxes. We're going to get into some pass protection reps at climbing to the second level. Probably should note that as well. Him in pass protection is really impressive. He's really light on his feet. The reactionary quickness is very impressive for a guy his size. How about this? This, you ain't going to see many tackles move like this. Really, really good change of direction. He's really light on his feet for that size. That's what intrigues me the most about Canon Pickett. Now, you look at this class for Miami in 2026, and the thing I love most about it is, why has Miami not needed to go to the portal very often for offensive linemen? They do it at the center position. They ain't going to have to do it after this year, because I think S.J. Olafutuli is going to play a lot of football for Miami down the road, because they recruit the high school ranks extremely well. You look at Miami and say, a good chance that, Matt McCoy goes to the NFL draft, Francis Mauigoa, potentially Markel Bell. You're going to have some guys that are moving on to Sundays after this year. We wanted to reload the shelf of young offensive linemen in this program. Miami's done exactly that. It starts with Jackson Campbell, but we said at the beginning of January, this was going to be a class where Mario Cristobal wants to fill it up on the offensive line. We'll see about Brett Collier. We're going to talk about him in a second, but I want to highlight two things. One, you have 12 commitments in the fold. 6 of them are on the offensive line. More importantly, I love the variety of kind of offensive linemen that Miami has coming in. One, it's a really big physical unit, but number two, it's a mixture of guys that I think have really high floors, and then a couple of guys that have high ceilings, provided they get the right development, what you trust with Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal. Jackson Campbell, probably going to be just a 3-year starter at right tackle off to the NFL. Joel Irvin, probably a little bit more of a project, but a guy that can be an extremely physically imposing dude somewhere down the road. Ben Cogden, a little bit of a different kind of tackle prospect than a dude like Joel Irvin, but I look at him and say there's some developmental upside to a guy like Ben Cogden. Then you look at J.J. Sparks, you look at a guy like Reese Woodrow, or you look at a guy like Canon Pickett. Those are guys that maybe don't have the ceiling as football players that a guy like Jackson Cantwell or Ben Cogden or Joel Irvin have. They're really blue chip dudes, like guys that you feel like are going to translate to the next level at a really high level, and guys that you feel pretty good are going to be hits on the offensive line. And so it's a combination of some guys that can play early, some guys that need some development, some guys that have high floors, and then you have some guys that have high ceilings. To me, that's what it should look like. If you just lean into developmental prospects, well, chances are you're going to have some misses, and chances are you're going to have some holes on your offensive line. If you just lean into guys that have, high floors but low ceilings, chances are your offensive line might not be all that great. It might be solid, but it might not be great. There is a wide variety of dudes for Miami on this offensive line, and that's what I like most about it. Brett Collier, I think Miami's going to take him. I should say this. Miami will certainly take him if he wants to come to Miami. And it sounds like that official visit that he took with Miami this weekend, it sounds like that moved the needle. He's going to go take a visit to Georgia. It sounds like it's between Miami and Georgia, and you kind of like where Miami sits. You're looking at a 7-man offensive line class, bunch of guys that are 320 plus in this class. If you're a Miami Hurricane fan, that has to fire you up. Mario Cristobal is recruiting the way he wants this program to look. He's prioritizing the line of scrimmage. Really, really excited about what Miami is doing on the offensive line. Canon Pickett, really blue chip kid, like a guy that can play guard. I think he has a chance to play tackle, but a guy that you feel like, look, even if it doesn't work at tackle, going to be really good at guard, and you feel good about it. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.